I have loved the heart so much that I have always striven to elevate them in my kingdom. The Renaissance, an era of flourishing research and culture, was initially defined by Italian princes. It later saw the rise of one of the greatest kings the world has ever known, reigning from 1515 to 1547. This king was none other than Francis I, the Prince of the Renaissance. The son of Charles of Angoulême and Louise of Savoy, Francis was born on September 12, 1494, in Cognac, in the southwestern lands of the Kingdom of France. Despite not being part of the royal lineage, Francis entered the privileged order of the high nobility. However, Louise of Savoy was an ambitious and cultured woman. Convinced her son would become a great king, she devoted herself entirely to his education and that of his sister, Marguerite, later known as Marguerite of Navarre, after the death of her husband, Charles of Angoulême, in 1496. Both Louise and Marguerite played a vital role in Francis's life, sharing an exceptionally close bond for their time. Louise represented a protective and politically astute maternal figure, while Marguerite was a loving and intellectual sister. For Louise of Savoy, one thing was certain: her son, Francis, would ascend the throne of France and reigned for many years. Fortune smiled on the young Francis when, on January 1st, 1515, he became heir to the throne after the death of Louis XII, who left no legitimate heir. Francis was officially crowned King Francis I of France. With this ascension, the main Valois branch, formerly represented by Louis XII, ended, giving rise to Francis's first Valois-Angoulême dynasty. The newly crowned king was driven by a grand vision, a paradise of culture and arts, prosperous lands at the dawn of a new era, the Italy. To realize this dream, Francis I led an expedition shortly after his coronation to establish dominance over the Duchy of Milan. The Battle of Marignano in 1515 marked a decisive French victory. This victory brought the king widespread glory and the title of Night King. It was after this triumph that Francis I, in 1516, invited Leonardo da Vinci to reside near the royal chateau at the manor of Claude Lucy. At 64 years old, Da Vinci becomes the first painter, engineer, and architect of the king. The master spent the final years of his life in France, creating plans and significant works, including the Mona Lisa, before passing away on May 2, 1519. Francis I is also renowned for his intense rivalry with another major figure of the era, Charles V. This rivalry emerged in 1519 during the election of the vast lands of the Holy Roman Empire. Despite significant bribes to influence the 7 electors, Charles of the Habsburg dynasty ultimately won the title, surrounding France and taking the name of Charles V. Thus began the rivalry between the Holy Roman Empire and the King of France. This rivalry led to the disastrous defeat of the French army at the Battle of Pavia on February 24, 1545, during which Francis I was captured and taken prisoner in Spain. While in captivity in 1546, Francis I wrote a letter to the powerful Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. The Sultan replied with a letter adorned with his magnificent toga. Source: he refrained from committing to assist the imprisoned king. This captivity culminated in the Treaty of Madrid. However, upon his return to France, Francis I famously refused to honor its terms when he had hostilities with Charles V. To ease tensions, Louise of Savoy, the king's mother, and Margaret of Austria, Charles V's aunt, signed the Treaty of Cambrai in 1549, also known as the Ladies' Peace, in reference to the two negotiators. This treaty required Francis I to marry Eleanor of Habsburg, pay a heavy ransom for the release of his sons, Francis and Henry, imprisoned since 1526, and renounced French claims to Italian territories. In 1536, the Franco-Ottoman alliance was formalized. This partnership included naval cooperation with Barbarossa's powerful fleet and capitulations for French merchants, granting them commercial privileges within the Ottoman Empire. However, Francis I faced severe criticism from other Christian powers for this alliance, which many viewed as a pact with the devil, with Suleiman often portrayed as such. Francis I played a pivotal role in the centralization of the France, notably by enacting the Ordinance of Villers-Cotterêts in 1539, which mandated the use of French in the country's administration. At the time, the multitude of regional dialects posed a significant barrier to cultural unity. Thus, Francis I, known as the Prince of the Renaissance, remains one of the most ambitious and impactful kings in French history. This video is the first on my channel. If you enjoyed it, I encourage you to like it and subscribe. Your support is very important to me.